Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Weather Sim forecast. And in today's forecast, we are going to be talking about a large storm that is currently impacting the United States today. And this is going to bring a lot of impacts, as not only are we expecting the potential for another big tornado outbreak across parts of the United States, but we will also be watching for significant flash flooding, as we will likely be seeing some areas get over a foot of rainfall, and we will also be keeping an eye out for potentially strong long track tornadoes today. So something to really keep an eye on, as the storm is still gaining a lot of strength. And then after this storm heads out, we will be talking about some more potential storms that could head our way by the time we get into the next few weeks of April. Let's first start off by going over the severe weather threat for today. You guys can see that we do have a new upgrade from the Storm Prediction Center across parts there of northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, and parts there of eastern Arkansas. This is a level 4 out of 5 threat, guys, a moderate risk, which was a little bit, surprising, since the severe weather threat started out a little bit low, but something to really keep an eye on today, as one of the big things driving the threat is the tornado threat. You guys can see how we do have a 15% hatch risk for tornadoes across northern Mississippi and southern parts there of southwest Tennessee. So you guys really need to prepare for this, as more long track EF2 tornadoes will be greater, even as far down south as Texas, where we still have that black hatching. Wind threat probably even going to be another big concern. You guys can see that we have a 45% hatch risk for damaging winds right around the Memphis area, as we could potentially see winds greater than hurricane force. And I am also concerned about large hail, which thankfully large hail is going to be staying down to the south of you guys there in Memphis, but I am still anticipating the potential for some large hail even with some of those storms. It looks like the bigger concern for hail, though, will be more towards Louisiana and Texas, but still something to keep an eye on, as some hailstorms up here in Tennessee could still contain hail as large as 2 inches in diameter. Once we get into tomorrow, we do have another severe weather threat for tomorrow. It's thankfully not going to be as bad as what we've been seeing over the past few days, but we will still be seeing the potential for some severe weather across parts there of western parts there of Alabama into the panhandle of Florida, even western parts there of Georgia, including the Atlantic region, even up there into central Alabama, and as well as parts there of Gulfport in Mississippi. So we really hope you guys are still continuing to be on the lookout for severe storms, even once we get into tomorrow, as tornadoes and damaging winds will be possible. Hail threat pretty low, but I still wouldn't rule it out, especially if these storms can get going. So something to really be weather aware about tomorrow, as a few tornadoes will be possible, but nothing nearly as significant as what we've been dealing with over the past few days. Let's now talk about something else that we're going to really need to be keeping an eye on too as well. And you guys can see that for today, we still need to watch for life-threatening flash flooding heading from Texarkana all the way up there into western Kentucky, where I am expecting the potential for rainfall totals between 4 to 6 inches added on to what we saw so far. And so far, some areas, especially in Arkansas, western Tennessee, and western Kentucky, have seen almost 10 inches of rainfall, guys, and that's why we've been seeing a lot of flash flood emergencies, and we could be seeing another 4 to 6 inches added on top of that, which means rainfall totals could potentially be over a foot, guys. This is a particularly dangerous situation developing across the entire high-risk area, and even if you live in the moderate risk, you still have a really good chance of seeing flash flooding, even in the red color, where I do think there is the potential to see life-threatening flooding as well. Maybe not nearly as bad, but still you should be weather aware even if you live in this red color, as numerous widespread flash floods are likely, but maybe even a few significant floods, potentially even life-threatening, will still be possible even in this red color, and you guys should still be on the lookout even if you live in that yellow color. And then of course all that will shift down to the southeast once we get into tomorrow. Let's now talk about some more storms that we could see once we get into the future. Because once again, we got that big storm that is still continuing to bring the potential for widespread flooding and severe weather. But once we take this forward, though, that storm system should finally head out of here by the time we get into the beginning of next week. And we're really glad that's the case, because if we would have saw another week of severe weather and flooding, that would have been devastating. But thankfully the storm is over by the time we get into next week, and we will continue to see some storms roll on through. Maybe not nearly as intense as this one. We'll only have just a little bit of energy to work with, so I'm not really expecting anything crazy with this next system, despite maybe some isolated rain and thunderstorms with this system. And of course, it's a very, low, not very low, but like, a low and high pressure system to high end low pressure system. Like, it's not really going to be very strong, so we're not really expecting a whole lot with that one. But I also think we could potentially see even another big storm roll on through by the time we get into the later part of April, maybe even the week after next week, which would be over 7 days from now. But I still think it is a possibility, as April is a very active month. This would probably be the next thing to watch for, as we are seeing widespread 2,000 joules per kilogram across parts there, the plains and Ohio Valley again. So something to keep an eye on, especially by the time we get into the third week of April, which won't be next week, but the week after, which, like I said, that's probably over 2 weeks from now still, but something that we're going to keep an eye on closely, especially as this could potentially still bring some severe weather as we get closer, which probably will change completely since we're still heading over 10 days out. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Feel free to go down below and click the link down below in the description to go get some Weather with Sim merchandise. We sell everything from t-shirts to hats. We even sell hoodies. We even sell iPhone cases. We sell all this stuff, so feel free to go down below and click the link down below in the description if you would like to check it out, or you can even go to the store page on my channel. And this, is a really good time to buy it, as this is currently 30% off. So feel free to go buy some Weather with Sim merchandise, and it really does help support the channel out a lot if you guys would like to go check that out. Plus, we also will be doing members only videos, so feel free to become a member if you haven't become a member already, and make sure to also like and